Welcome to Ranting Politics Headline Updates. I hope you're ready to dive into today's whirlwind of headline-grabbing stories. In this episode, we've got a packed lineup that includes everything from space to local strife. First up, we'll be blasting off with SpaceX's latest mission, Polaris Dawn, which promises to set new records and feature the first commercial spacewalk. Then, we'll touch down on Earth to cover the latest explosive developments in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, including one of Kyiv's most massive drone assaults on Russian soil. We'll also be heating things up with a look into Springfield, Ohio, where the arrival of 20,000 Haitian migrants has caused quite a stir and led to some fiery town hall confrontations. Switching gears to science and technology, we'll explore how old nuclear warheads are being reinvented as fuel for the next generation of nuclear reactors, helping to reduce U.S. dependency on foreign enriched uranium. Lastly, we'll tackle the pressing issue of the U.S. debt crisis, where daily interest expenses have reached a staggering $3 billion. The Federal Reserve is contemplating rate cuts to stabilize the economy, something everyone should be watching. Remember, for more updates and to join the conversation, follow us on X at RantingRP and visit us at rantingpolitics.com. Let's get into it. Hold on to your space helmets, folks, because SpaceX has done it again. The cutting-edge space company successfully launched the Polaris Dawn mission, and it's nothing short of spectacular. At 5:23 a.m., the skies lit up as the Falcon 9 rocket roared to life, sending its Crew Dragon capsule hurtling towards the heavens. The mission isn't just another routine space jaunt. This time, SpaceX is aiming for the stars, literally and figuratively, with the primary goal of conducting the first ever commercial spacewalk. Now the Polaris Dawn mission boasts an eclectic crew. It includes civilian astronaut Jared Isaacman, millionaire founder of Shift4 Payments, who isn't a stranger to space, two pioneering SpaceX engineers, Anna Menon and Sarah Gillis, and a former U.S. Air Force pilot, Scott Kidd Poteet. Together, they're setting their sights on numerous records. The Polaris Dawn team plans to soar past the previous altitude record set in 1966 by NASA's Gemini 11 mission. That's 853 miles above Earth, folks. In case you're curious, they're aiming to beat that by about 20 more miles. What makes this mission especially thrilling is that it's not a mere joyride. To execute their spacewalk, the crew will have to brave the dangerous Van Allen radiation belts, a region notorious for high-energy particle radiation. And if that wasn't challenging enough, there's the critical matter of timing their return to Earth. You see, carrying out a spacewalk will suck up quite a bit of oxygen, leaving them with only enough air supply for 5 to 6 days up there. Adding another layer of excitement, the crew plans to perform trailblazing research in microgravity, tackling complex scientific experiments that could pave the way for future manned missions to the Moon and even Mars. SpaceX has always made headlines with its reusable technology, and this mission is no exception. The first stage of the Falcon 9 rocket successfully guided itself back to Earth, ready to be refurbished for another mission. Talk about efficiency! As the crew settled into orbit, the words from SpaceX launch director Frank Messina resonated powerfully. As you gaze towards the North Star, remember that your courage lights the path for future explorers. This sentiment captures the essence of what SpaceX aims to achieve, a blending of technology and raw human bravery. So, what's the next big thing to look out for? The crew's planned spacewalk at around the 435-mile mark above Earth. This extraordinary feat won't just mark a milestone for commercial space travel, but will also set a precedent for international collaboration and technological advancement. Whether you're a seasoned space enthusiast or a casual observer, the Polaris Dawn mission offers a captivating glimpse into the future of space exploration. It's a daring adventure filled with risks, records, and remarkable teamwork, all hallmarks of the SpaceX brand. Stay tuned, space aficionados, because this mission is a vivid reminder that the final frontier is closer than ever, and its exploration is no longer just the domain of national space agencies. With private companies like SpaceX leading the charge, who knows what amazing discoveries lie ahead? For more updates like these and to follow every thrilling moment of the Polaris Dawn mission, keep listening to Ranting Politics Headline Updates. And remember, we're always here to give you the scoop that's out of this world. Now on to the latest developments in the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict. Buckle up, because Kyiv has just launched one of its largest drone attacks against Russia to date. That's right, Ukrainian forces targeted a whopping 9 regions within Russia with a staggering 140 drones overnight. The Russian Ministry of Defense claims their air defenses intercepted nearly all of these UAVs, but whether those numbers hold up remains to be seen. Russian defense officials reported that 72 drones were intercepted over the Bryansk region, 20 over Moscow, and the rest spread across different areas, including Kursk, Tula, Belgorod, Kaluga, Voronezh, Lipetsk, and Oryol. Moscow's mayor even chimed in, confirming that at least 14 drones targeted the capital itself, leading to the temporary closure of major airports like Zhukovsky, Sheremetyevo, Domodedovo, and Vnukovo. Chaos in the air, folks! Local Russian media outlets such as RBC describe this offensive as one of the most massive of all time, a phrase not to be taken lightly. And if the eyewitness reports are anything to go by, the Astra Telegram channel showed footage of smoke near Zhukovsky International Airport. Talk about a fiery situation. Fortunately, there were no significant casualties reported outside the capital, though a woman was tragically killed in Ramenskoye and several others sustained injuries. Let's not forget that this isn't the first time Ukrainian forces have brought the fight to Russian soil. Just last month, Ukraine managed to strike 8 Russian regions, including several military airfields. Guess Kyiv isn't just playing defense anymore. According to Ukraine's Air Force, Russian forces were also busy overnight, launching their own attacks with 2 missiles and 46 Shahed drones. Combat operations successfully downed 38 of these attacking drones, but the war zone remains ever volatile. Ukraine's forces have shown incredible resilience and ingenuity, often referring to Russian military bases as valid targets. Let's be real, all's fair in love in this brutal conflict. The Security Service of Ukraine, SBU, and the Main Intelligence Directorate, HUR, routinely claim responsibility for these airstrikes, keeping the conflict intensely dynamic. On the flip side, pro-Kremlin sources argue that these relentless drone assaults, often aimed at military targets, exact a significant toll on Russian resources and morale. It's a vicious cycle of attacks and counterattacks that shows no signs of slowing down. And there you have it, the latest update in a conflict that keeps the world on the edge of its seat. Let's turn our attention to the small town of Springfield, Ohio, where tensions are running high, and not just because of the summer heat. Residents are fuming over a massive influx of about 20,000 Haitian migrants since the COVID-19 pandemic. Imagine that, 20,000 new faces in a town of just 58,000 people. It's like throwing Mentos into a bottle of Coke and watching the explosion. The dramatic demographic shift has led to an uptick in crime and general disorder, or so say the longtime residents who've been vocal at recent city council meetings. They're feeling the cultural clash on the streets and in public spaces. Let's listen to some snippets of their grievances. Anthony Harris, a 28-year-old local, didn't hold back. I see what's going on in the streets, and I see you guys sitting up there in comfy chairs and suits. I really challenge you guys to get out here and do something. These Haitians are running into trash cans. They're running into buildings, they're flipping cars in the middle of the street, and I don't know how y'all can be comfortable with this. Whoa, flipping cars? Sounds like a scene straight out of a Fast and Furious movie, but it's just another day in Springfield as described by Anthony. Another resident, Lisa Hayes, 64, shared a more personal anecdote recalling a chilling incident at a supermarket where migrants blocked her cart and refused to let her pass through the aisle. I don't know what kind of label you put on this. I would like to see them have some common respect, she said, frustrated and bewildered. Then there's Diana Daniels, who underscores the root of the problem as a cultural clash. Countries are defined by their culture and their language, not the color. When folks stand up here and describe what is happening to them, they are often painted with the broad brush of racism that has nothing to do with it. She aired her grievances directly at the city leadership, declaring, "Shame on you." At one particularly heated hearing, a woman named Noel vocalized her fears about safety and property. I try to help them the best I can to keep them from trying to squat on my property, but it is so unsafe. I have learned they cannot speak English in my front yard. They're screaming at me, throwing mattresses in my front yard, throwing trash in my front yard. She added, "Look at me, I weigh 95 pounds. I couldn't defend myself if I had to pack up and move. It's killing both of us mentally. I don't understand what you expect of us as citizens. Who's protecting me? I want out of this town. I'm sorry. Please give me a reason to stay. The frustration is palpable, and it's clear that residents are looking to their city officials for solutions, not just condolences. And who could forget the man in the blue Harley-Davidson t-shirt representing a different layer of concern? He pointedly asked, "How do you know we aren't getting criminals, rapists?" Drawing a hard line between safety and the contentious humanitarian response. As the town meetings escalate in both volume and emotion, one resident hit the proverbial nail on the head by calling out the failures in leadership. "When am I getting my money back?" It's clear that Springfield is a microcosm of broader national issues surrounding immigration, cultural integration, and public safety. This small Ohio town is crying out for action, and it remains to be seen how, or even if, local authorities can quell the unrest and restore a sense of normalcy. Stay tuned and stay engaged. We'll keep you updated on how this situation unfolds. Inside a state-of-the-art facility in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, a historic transformation is taking place. This is the same site that once enriched uranium for the Manhattan Project's atomic bombs. Today it's all about peaceful power, turning old, unexploded nuclear warheads into a new type of fuel, one that could revolutionize America's energy sector. Dubbed HALEU, or high-assay low-enriched uranium, this advanced reactor fuel is being produced by melting down old weapons-grade uranium and blending it with low-enriched uranium in a giant crucible. Picture a humongous metal cauldron heated to a sizzling 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit, creating a glowing orange molten soup. When this mixture cools, it solidifies into a material that can be held in your hand but has the power to light up entire cities. So why is this a big deal? Well, the United States has long relied on enriched uranium from Russia, a vestige of post-Cold War deals. But given the geopolitical climate, relying on Russian uranium isn't exactly ideal. Enter the U.S. Department of Energy, which has thrown its weight behind creating domestic sources of HALEU. By repurposing old nuclear warheads, the U.S. aims to break free from its reliance on foreign uranium supplies. This isn't just a patriotic move, it's also a strategic pivot. Advanced nuclear reactors, which are small and modular, require more enriched and energy-dense uranium than traditional reactors. These new-age reactors promise to be more efficient, requiring less maintenance and physical space, and they're better suited for America's energy future. Projects like TerraPower, Bill Gates' brainchild, are chomping at the bit for this fuel. TerraPower recently broke ground in Wyoming, yet it's in a race against time, initially slated to get its HALEU from Russia. But thanks to the Oak Ridge facility, they could soon be getting homegrown HALEU. This new fuel isn't just a product, it's a promise of a more secure and self-sufficient energy future for the United States. To add a sense of urgency, the Energy Department estimates that the advanced nuclear industry will need around 40 tons of HALEU by 2030. While a couple of U.S. facilities are ramping up production, Oak Ridge is expected to contribute substantially with 6 tons by 2027. Although far from the final goal, it's a solid start. Michael Goff, a top official from the Energy Department, captures the essence of this initiative. "We need some firm, clean baseload electricity. Nuclear provides that. In order to meet our energy security needs and our climate goals, we do need significantly more nuclear energy deployed. So America is turning old firepower into new firepower, trading weapons for watts in a bid to secure a greener, more independent energy future. Stay tuned as this nuclear renaissance continues to gain momentum, aiming to light up more than just the skies over Tennessee." All right, folks, let's dive headfirst into the whirlwind that is the U.S. debt crisis. Hold on to your hats because this one's got more twists and turns than a soap opera. First off, let's talk numbers. The U.S. finds itself in quite the pickle, with a staggering daily interest expense reaching, wait for it, $3 billion. That's right. Every single day, Uncle Sam's having to shell out a sum that could make even Jeff Bezos blush. According to Fortune.com, the ever-increasing national debt has hit a critical juncture, and the financial wizards at the Federal Reserve are scrambling to find a lifeline. So what's the Fed thinking? Rate cuts, folks. Yes, the Federal Reserve is mulling over slicing those interest rates in an attempt to ease the financial burden and stop this economic train from flying off the rails. But let's break this down. Why are rate cuts such a big deal? For those of you less familiar with the inner workings of high finance, lowering interest rates essentially makes borrowing cheaper. This could encourage businesses and consumers to spend more, potentially injecting a much-needed dose of adrenaline into the sluggish economy. However, it's a double-edged sword. While rate cuts might lubricate the gears of economic activity, they could also have some unintended consequences. For starters, let's consider inflation. We've already seen some wild inflation spikes over the past few years. Cutting rates could fan those flames, making everything from groceries to gas even more expensive. It's a delicate balancing act, kind of like trying to juggle chainsaws on a unicycle. And let's not forget the bond market. A rate cut means lower yields on government bonds, which, spoiler alert, might not sit well with international investors. If they decide U.S. bonds are no longer the safe bet they used to be, we could see a mass exodus, putting more pressure on the national debt. There's also the question of how these cuts would impact everyday Americans. Sure, lower interest rates might make it cheaper to snag that dream home or finance a new car, but they also translate into lower returns on savings accounts and retirement funds. So it's a toss-up. Save a buck on borrowing, but potentially lose some dough on long-term savings. All this financial maneuvering comes on the heels of years of escalating federal debt. The pandemic-era economic stimulus packages certainly didn't help the balance sheets, and now it seems we're feeling the aftershocks. Critics argue that kicking the can down the road isn't going to cut it anymore. It's time for substantial structural changes to how the U.S. manages its finances. But here's the kicker: the political landscape is as divided as ever. Getting bipartisan support for any significant fiscal policy change resembles trying to herd cats through a burning building. The solutions are out there, but the willpower, well, that's another question entirely. So what's the bottom line, folks? The U.S. debt crisis is like a financial soap opera with no clear resolution in sight. Rate cuts could offer a short-term reprieve, but the long-term fiscal health of the country hinges on some tough decisions and, dare I say, a bit of old-fashioned cooperation. Stay tuned, policy wonks. This saga is far from over. And if you enjoy watching economic drama unfold, grab your popcorn because the next few months are sure to be a wild ride. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Ranting Politics Headline Updates. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into SpaceX's groundbreaking Polaris Dawn mission, the intense Russia-Ukraine drone conflict, the community upheaval in Springfield, Ohio, the innovative strides in repurposing nuclear warheads for energy, and the alarming state of the U.S. debt crisis. Keep the energy high and your curiosity alive by following us on X at RantingRP or by visiting our website, rantingpolitics.com. We'll be back soon with the updates you need to navigate these interesting times. Until then, stay tuned, stay informed, and as always, stay free.